Welcome to Trail and Air Alaska. Really kind of want to start with what is success and how, even for me, that has changed over time. So when I grew up in a hunting house and my dad mule deer hunted, didn't do a ton of other hunting, but always kind of wanted to be a part of that. And then in the future, as I kind of grew out of that into high school and stuff, got really into athletics. And then we were lucky enough in 2012 or 2011 to move to Alaska. And I told myself at that point in time that if I wasn't going to hunt and fish in Alaska, I wasn't going to be able to do it anywhere. So I really kind of focused. We were in Southeast Alaska in Juneau. And so I really kind of honed in on trying to get into hunting. And that started out with buying the gear. I didn't have the proper gear. You know, Southeast Alaska, you're looking at a lot of rain. You're in a boreal rainforest. And so it's wet. So gearing up, and in those first stages, success really looked like trying to bring home an animal. I'm out there, I have a wife, 4 kids, a 5th on the way, and I'm spending my weekends or some of my days off, my precious vacation time, going out and chasing these animals, trying to bring home meat. And so in those early stages of hunting, it really felt like success was keyed in on bringing home an animal, validating the time, the effort. Finances were tight, and here I am spending gas money. I mean, once you're geared up and you've got the basics for hunting the same species or the same area, you still have gas expenses. You're taking out something to eat, some drinks. So when money's really tight, you're still having to count those pennies and count those dollars, and it still is a cost every time. And then the value of your own time. You're going out there and trip after trip, you're not having success. And you know, for me, I knew that I was kind of starting to question whether I was really cut out for this, whether I was going to be able to be successful. And so that was a really tough kind of experience, and seeing that return on investment. And so that was kind of, at that point in time is when things kind of started shifting, and I started becoming a little bit more of a gearhead. And I really wanted to have gear that was usable across multiple facets of hunting, of the outdoor space, as well as I didn't want to buy things that were going to break and fail and just be replaceable. Buy a cheap knife, break it, throw it away, get a new knife, or rifle, cartridge, pants, gear, whatever it was. I wanted to start buying gear that was more reliable. And then in 2018, 2019 was when I really kind of started looking into sheep hunting. And then I got the opportunity to go on my first sheep hunt in 2020 and realized that the gear I had didn't really make sense for that. And so there was kind of a transition where success to me at the time kind of looked like having the best gear. There was a combination of wanting good gear that would help me be successful, but even more than that, I wanted the gear to not be the weak link in me finding success. And so I really focused on buying good quality gear, the best that I could afford, that would help me have success in what I was looking to accomplish. So that was where there was a big shift, and then again another shift of getting into sheep hunting, and then thinking about, you know, ounces equals pounds, pounds equals pain. You're hiking in a long way, you're doing all this stuff to try and get this sheep, and then once you get it, you're carrying all that weight. And so at that point in time, dollars started to become lighter gear. You know, maybe I need to get a thinner, lighter pair of pants that I can do more layers with as it gets colder or hotter. And so once I got into sheep hunting mindset or mode, that's when gear really took on a different meaning, from looking towards pounds or dollars equals saved weight. And saved weight equaled being able to go farther, being able to push harder. And so that was kind of a big gear shift there. And so my focus at that point was still thinking that gear was kind of what was going to lead to success, but in the sense that I wanted to eliminate all variables. Like I said a moment ago, I wanted it to be that I had the best gear for the job that I was doing, so that I knew that if there was failure, it was on me. We had moved from Southeast Alaska up to the interior, and so I kind of shifted my hunting style a little bit because of the animals and the weather. And so there was a big change there. And then I really got into sheep hunting, and that was a great learning experience. You learned so much about myself, learned so much about my gear, about how to pack, how to hike out. We did a 11-day trip. It was supposed to be a 12 or 13-day trip, but we ended up cutting it a little short. Solo trip for 4 days. And then we did another group trip that was supposed to be 10 days, but we had to we went in a day early or a day late because of weather, and then we were successful, and so we came out a day early. But it was very interesting because getting up and going through sheep hunting, a lot of people I talk to who want to sheep hunt, they don't for a variety of reasons. They're not prepared, they don't have the right gear, they're not in good enough shape, and there's always an excuse. And so being able to sheep hunt really showed that I still had the ability to be committed, be disciplined enough to kind of push through, which was something I had kind of started to question in myself and in what I was doing outside of hunting. And so it was really great to see that. But what really surprised me was when we finally harvested my first ram, my only ram to date, was I didn't have that sense of success and accomplishment I thought I would. What I had was a sense of relief, a sense of that I really could still go out and do these hard things, that I could still follow through and show commitment. My kids had seen me doing these things, and being able to have them see, and my wife, and to prove to myself that I could still do hard things, I could commit to something and follow through, and then to accomplish that was just a sense of relief. And that really kind of surprised me, that I didn't get the rush of adrenaline and then this like over sense of joy or pride or success. Like for me, it was just that sense of relief, and that we did it. I was able to do it. My partner and I, we were able to accomplish that. And then what surprised me even more was that when we got back and kind of sharing that experience with people, it didn't feel like I thought it would. It didn't. I didn't know what I expected, but it was within a small circle of people. There was understanding and congratulations and stuff. But I didn't think it would make me famous. I didn't think it would make me all of a sudden important, but I thought it would feel different. I thought I would feel different. I thought it would affect my outlook on things, but it didn't. And so it kind of showed that like that trophy, that harvest is not success. That is not what you're really going for. And while all this was kind of going on, I fell in love with waterfowl hunting. So I fell in love with waterfowl hunting when I was in Juneau, and kind of have carried that. And waterfowl hunting up here in Fairbanks and North Pole is a lot harder in the Alaska interior because our season is really short. But I realized that I had kind of had a change of heart and a change of what success really looked like and where I got the most enjoyment. Starting with waterfowl hunting, because there's waterfowl hunting, if you've never done it, is just such a fun experience. I'll explain it, and it's hard for people who have never done it, but the most accomplished I've ever felt in the outdoors and the most fun I've ever had was waterfowl hunting. When you set up your decoys, you find a spot, you know where you're going in, you set up the decoys right where you want them, where you think the birds are going to be, or the closest you can get to where the birds are going to be passing through. And then you see birds flying by and you call at them, which is a whole technique and training and a lot of work to learn how to do that. But the ducks are going, you call at them, and then they come by, they circle overhead, so you're kind of staying hidden and trying not to look at them because they'll see the whites of your eyes and your face, and so you're trying to hide, but you gotta watch them. And then when they do their couple spins, and then they land right in the middle of your decoys, and they cup their wings and drop their feet like landing gear almost, and they just land right where you want in the center of the decoy spread. And that moment of right before touchdown is the best experience. I have so many times been so excited and so proud of that moment that I haven't even shot. Normally, when the birds are coming in, that's the best time. You jump up, shoot, harvest your birds, and then you let the ones that get away go, retrieve your ducks, and then sit back down, hide, and wait for the next group. And so realizing that, and that moment wasn't even pulling the trigger. It's before you pull the trigger. And then seeing that success through harvesting the caribou I've harvested and the couple of moose that the few moose I've been able to get. And then now this sheep, and realizing that what I had learned to really enjoy was being out there and being with the animals. And I love going out when the weather's awful, specifically for waterfowl. Waterfowl hunting is the best when the weather's terrible. And so being the only guy to go out, thinking and realizing that like nobody else is out here, the weather's garbage, and like very few people, only the really committed or the people who really know are out here right now. So I've enjoyed that. I like being that guy who's out there when you know the weather's bad, but being out there, being out where the waterfowl are going to be. Now I've got dogs, and taking the dogs out and having them with me has really kind of, I realized that has become the success. So now when I define success, a lot of times when I talk to people, we're talking about something very different. We're talking about the success looks like just getting out there. The success is learning something new. The success is proving that you're still to yourself, I guess, proving to yourself that you're still capable of getting out and doing those things. That you don't have to bring home the animal. And not to downgrade, like I've got a big family, wife, 5 kids, I've got going on 3 teenage boys. Filling the freezer is important. And I will never downplay the part of the harvest. It is still important to me. It is still something that I value. It's a value to my family. It saves us money, sort of. And like my hunting partner, Eric, for him, like our 2 sheep hunts we've been on, he didn't even have a tag, but he loved every moment of those experiences. He had so much, for him, it was a successful trip. He got out there, he did the hard thing, he did the hiking, he did the walking, and had a fantastic time. Learned a lot about himself. Our first trip, neither one of us had ever done a backpack trip of that length of time. Neither one of us had ever slept in a tent, I believe, that long, setting up and taking down multiple times. And so there's a lot of learning that happened. And for him, that success was never about the animal. And so it's just funny because that has really kind of changed. And I think that that's an important thing as people kind of get into this. Initially, you feel like you have to have that animal or bring home that you have to have the kill. It might not be about the picture for you. It might not be about a trophy on the wall, but you really feel this drive or this pressure. And it's something that I think is natural, but it's not what really defines success. And then you kind of transcend that into like, what does this mean for me? What does it mean for my family? And so like, I really hope that my kids see not the trophies on the wall. They're like, yes, it's cool. And I hope that all my kids my goal is to have all my children enjoy something they like doing outside, whether that's hunting or fishing, even hiking. I've told all 5 of them that I just really want them each to find something that they enjoy outside, that they can love and embrace, and gets them out into nature, because I want my kids to see me doing these hard things, see me accomplishing, not quitting, and finding that joy and that peace in that simple thing. Doesn't take a lot of technology, doesn't take a lot of stuff. And like I said, even gear wise, we'll talk more about gear on this channel. That's kind of going to be a kind of a focal point that we'll talk about gear in the field, gear that has helped us be successful. But like it doesn't require, you can start now with what you've got. You can start getting out there with the basics. Nowadays we see all these high-end hunters wearing all this fancy sporting gear. But if you look, like, there's a gentleman that I know, older, who has, I think he's been extremely successful, and he still goes out in blue jeans and a red plaid wool jacket, and that's his hunting attire. Always has been, always will be, and he's successful, and it doesn't require as much as we think. At a bare minimum, like, if you're just going out for a day trip, you can have a simple emergency kit that's got the gear that you need to survive an overnight if you get stuck, and that's it. Like, if you can survive an overnight and have some food, some water, and you're able to create a shelter or have a shelter with you and a way to stay warm, like, that's all you need. And you can start with day trips. You can start with trips where, most of my trips for years were day trips. Years and years I spent just doing day trips. And so, like, that's where I really think that for us, success needs to be defined in an appropriate way. And too often, and even just the hunting industry in general, I guess, or hunting folks in general, outdoors people, we define it by what we bring home. We define it by what we are able to accomplish. And so that change is a mindset that it's not about that. It's about getting out there, doing the hard things, getting out there and showing that you can still accomplish something, that you can be out there. And I think that defining success really is more about accomplishing a goal and learning something every time you go out. And if you learn something, even no matter how big or small, if you learn something every time you make it out, and if you are getting out there regularly when you want to, as you can, depending on life and schedule and what's going on, that is success. You're going to improve and you're going to learn just by being out there and doing it. And if you're not out there, you can read all the articles in the world. You can be on every forum, you can watch every YouTube video, but you're not actually going to learn it and accomplish it and have that success until you actually go out and spend the time and do it yourself. Learn it, experience it, take it home as part of you. Guys, for coming by Trail and Air Alaska, and there will be more to come. Thanks, guys.